Okay, he has 2 grown children, and he has a very spoiled, silky-haired terrier. So what's the terrier's name?
Holly.
Holly. How sweet.
Holly.
So without further ado, I will let him take the stage.
There we go. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, Holly, a great story. Holly is named after Holly Golightly. And bonus points if you know, I don't know what you were putting in that bucket, but that could be a good question next time. The answer was 61, right? I know. No, Holly, tell me, Holly Golightly, where's Holly Golightly from?
That was before I was born.
The winner right there. Breakfast at Tiffany's. That's Audrey Hepburn. Audrey Hepburn. Yeah, right, you should. Audrey Hepburn was Holly Golightly in Breakfast at Tiffany's. So my little dog, my silky-haired terrier. Now, it's not a Yorkshire Terrier. A silky-haired terrier is a little bigger. It's like 12 pounds, and the Yorkshire Terriers are really small. So this is the kind of information that you get. This is why we've got such a great turnout here today, because people realized that this is the kind of information that you don't get possibly at the Rotary or the Kiwanis. You get it at the Lions Club. And feel free to use the video for your recruiting purposes, please. If you ever, I was talking about you need somebody in September, you need somebody in December, call on me anytime. I can be a stand-in.
Okay.
Because
you might forget you trimmed down for that.
I can speak on different subjects. It's not just basketball. If you read my column, a lot of times I don't talk about basketball. Mm-hmm. I don't really like basketball all that much. I've been doing it, friends, for 37 years. I have been a head coach, and I know I don't look that old, but 37 years, 42 years total. If I was anything, I'd be retired by now, right? I mean, if you're in the service or I don't know, I would think I'd be retired by now. But 37 years, 42. I've been here at Francis Marion for 15 years. That's my longest tenure. I never thought I'd be here this long, but this has been a good home for me. For some reason, Fred Carter likes me. It's funny. Fred, every time he signs an extension, they'll have a board of trustee meeting, and Fred will sign his extension. He'll come to the game, and he sits right behind our bench, and he taps me on the shoulder. He says, "Hey, I just signed an extension this afternoon. Good for me, good for you." And I said, "Good Lord, Fred," I said, "I'm going to be drooling on myself pretty soon. How long are we going to do this?" "Oh, we'll just keep going. God bless him, God bless him. But anyway, 15 years here. Previously, Indiana University of Pennsylvania. That was my other stop. I was there for 10 years. That's where we had a lot of success on the Division II level. Now let's teach some athletics here. All right. In the NCAA, which is the National Collegiate Athletic Association.
I knew that part.
Did you? No, you didn't know what it was. NCAA. The NCAA, there's 3 divisions. There's Division III, which is non-scholarship. It's not athletic scholarship. It's just aid, financial aid, academic money, that type of thing. That's where I played. I'm from Virginia Wesleyan. I'm from Virginia originally, Norfolk, Virginia, Virginia Beach. I played at Virginia Wesleyan. I had some success there. That's what I started coaching. All right, so that's Division III. Francis Marion is Division II. We can offer athletic scholarships. Okay. Men's basketball, we have a limit of 10 scholarships. And then you have Division I, which is the big guys. There's South Carolina, Clemson. They're doing the March Madness basketball tournament right now. So you have 3, you have 2, you have 1. Now, the Elite 8, at Division II, the Elite 8 is going on right now. You have 8 regions from around the country, and you get a champion from each one of those regions, and they come together in one place, and they play in a national championship to find a national champion. So the Elite 8 is a big deal in Division II. That's going on right now. Our conference representative, Flagler from Florida, they're playing tonight in the first round of the Elite 8. Okay. We got to that 4 times at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. So that was good. That was a great thing. Of those 4 times, twice we got to the Final Four. So that means we won tonight's game. We won that game. We went to the Final Four. We never won that game to get to the national championship game, but Final Four is a big deal. Obviously, a Final Four is a big deal in Division I. That's the big thing that's going on right now. Now, Division III, they didn't have a tournament this year. Even though they played some games, Division III guys played some games, the NCAA didn't let them have a tournament. So poor Division III. The NCAA, it's interesting how the NCAA, they say how everybody's equal, but they have ridiculous rules that govern each division. Say travel. Say you qualify for the NCAA tournament, right? If you are only 350 miles away from the site, they'll fly you. If 350 and under, you drive on a bus. 350 miles and over, they fly you to the site, Indianapolis or wherever the Division I thing. That's Division I. Division II, it's 500 miles. They feel like our, rumps are a little tougher, and we can get on the bus. We can get on the bus and we can drive for 500 miles. And Division III, it's 600 miles. 600 miles. They make those poor guys, if they go to a regional or they go to some, they've got to drive. They only fly if it's over 600 miles. So you've probably read recently, the newspaper probably had this, there was inequality in the women's tournament and the men's tournament. Did you read about that? Yep. The women's tournament is in San Antonio, Texas. Well, that's a beautiful city, and you get great Mexican food there. The men's tournament is in Indianapolis, right? But the girls took a picture of their weight room, right? It was like in a closet. It looked like that box right there, that purple box. And if you pass the tub around, I'm going to give some money to try to refurbish that. Do you mind? If we could refurbish that purple box. The last time I was here, this room has been refurbished.
Have you seen the bucket?
That's a good point. The bucket goes perfectly with the thing.
Are you volunteering to take it?
No, just a donation.
This is hands-on. We don't.
Just a donation is all I can. But anyway, they took a picture, and the poor women's weight room was terrible. It was like in a closet or something, right? And the men had this huge, big weight room and all this stuff. So anyway, they've caught a lot of heat that there's been a little inequality in the women's tournament and the men's tournament. There's also inequality in the divisions. So, but I digress. That's not what I wanted to talk about at all. What do I want to talk about? Francis Marion basketball. Aren't y'all dying to know about Francis Marion basketball? You're doggone right you are. Yes. Yes.
How many players actually lift weights during the tournament?
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. There's some programs that lift the day of the game. Now we don't.
I understand maybe centers are the big guys.
Yeah.
Doesn't that tighten you up, Luke?
Yeah, no, I mean, in the old school thought, right, you don't want to lift weights the day before a game, let alone the day of a game. But now the new thinking is that you can lift before a game or even the day of a game. There was a big video of LeBron James, and he was lifting on the day of a game, so now all the players think that that's the thing to do. We'll lift some weights on the day of the game because LeBron James did it, and, so they do. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Now, I don't know if the women do it. Maybe, I guess they do. They seem to be very disappointed that they didn't have a nice weight room, and they were disappointed in the food.
That wasn't the only weight room. It was the bathroom too.
Right. It was other stuff too. Yeah, no, it was other stuff too. There's no doubt about it. So they're kind of backpedaling now and trying to figure out what they're doing. Yeah, exactly what they're going to do. So, but anyway, Francis Marion basketball. I'm the basketball coach at Francis Marion. We had a season this year. We played a total of 14 games. We didn't start until January, and we only played conference games. And when you say, well, Coach, what conference are you in? Well, that's a good question. We're in the Peach Belt Conference. We have a lot of teams from Georgia, North Georgia, Clayton State, Georgia College, out of Milledgeville, that type of thing. So we only played conference games. We had 16 conference games scheduled. Knock on wood, Francis Marion had no COVID problems, but some of our opponents did. So we had to cancel 2 games. Other games were postponed. It was tough. I mean, it was tough. We got tested every other day. We had 3 false positives. I had guys that they put in quarantine that really shouldn't have been in quarantine, but when they had the second test, it came back, they were negative. So we were in pretty good shape, but a lot of other teams weren't in good shapes. We played 14 games. We won a grand total of 3 of those games. So it wasn't the best of years, but Dr. Carter still likes me, so that's good. That's a good thing. And we got through it. It was not an easy year. It wasn't an easy year mentally. It wasn't an easy year, and I admire the teams that were able to get through it. The teams that are playing right now in the March Madness. You've seen them out there, and South Carolina women are playing right now. The big Division I tournament is going on right now. I admire those teams that they were able to get through, because it was a tougher situation than a lot of people think. Well, just the other day, Virginia Commonwealth was in the tournament, and then they had one guy test positive, and they couldn't play. They were kicked out of the tournament, and Oregon got the forfeit. So anything still could happen. They kicked Virginia Commonwealth out in the first round. I wonder, think about this scenario. Suppose it gets down to the national championship game. Say it's Gonzaga and Baylor. They're still in there right now, right? Gonzaga and Baylor. Say it gets down to the national championship game. Monday night, there's going to be millions of people viewing. What if one of the Baylor guys tests positive? What are they going to do? That'll be a great test. Exactly. That'll be great test of how committed they are to safety. How committed are you there, NCAA? That'll be interesting if that happens.
How much would they lose with TV and stuff like that?
I don't know. They've got a contract with CBS and Turner for billions of dollars a year, basically. So I'm sure there's a clause in that contract if they don't play the national championship game, or they don't play a certain amount of games, that it's less money or whatever. I don't know. There was an article in the paper today, or one of the papers, about how the NCAA did a long-term contract with CBS until 2032, and how bad a deal it was. He should have waited. The NCAA president should have waited and renegotiated that contract. I mean, it's something. It's like, I don't know, $2 billion a year, $2.5 billion a year. The NCAA makes 90% of their operating money, and the money that goes to schools, 90% are from the men's Division I basketball tournament, from all the TV rights and everything. So they were going to have this tournament, come heck or high water. They were going to have this tournament this year. Even over football. Now that is the thing. The schools themselves make a ton of money with football. They need those stadiums full. LSU and Clemson and Georgia, and they need those stadiums full to fund their programs, so they can fund the non-revenue sports that they've got going too, But the NCAA and the conferences, the NCAA gives conferences so much money from this basketball. Yeah, it's 90% of their revenue. So they took a hit last year. There's no way they could have taken another hit this year. And, with football, there's no way football could have withstood probably another season with no fans, They've got to get those fans in the seats there, ready to roll.
National championship football game.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
They said that if they had a positive COVID test, they were going to wait another week. They were going to play it a week later.
They were going to play it, right.
A week later, they had to.
Well, I suspect that's what they would do with basketball too. They're going to play it. They're going to play it, yeah, somehow.
The odd thing is how they did the coin toss. They'd only send one player from each side to do the coin toss, but then you'd have 22 young men lining up face to face for the rest of the game. Right. Well, exactly.
Like you look at the TV, like basketball, they've got our seats all, separated and all this kind of stuff. But then they get in a huddle and everybody's like face to face, and I'm terrible. When I talk, sometimes I'll, it'll be flying everywhere. Not right now, though. I'm not that excited. But,
For me.
here's my mask right here. I've realized that my mask makes a nice little pocket square. I didn't realize that because I saw y'all were comfortable with the mask. But yeah, it is. It doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? A lot of it. Exactly. The NCAA, other than real politics, is probably the most political organization in this country. They're probably the most political and the most hypocritical organization in this country once you get past the real government and the hypocrisy of the real government. So and so a lot of it is optics and doing the politically correct thing and all that, But hopefully we're getting past that and things are going to start getting back to a little bit more normalcy now in regular life and in athletics, And I think that's true certainly for us. Our baseball team's playing now and our softball team's playing and all the teams in the fall that were supposed to play, volleyball and soccer and all the folks, they're playing right now too. So we were just talking about just about every day until the end of school, we've got some kind of athletic event over at Francis Marion. So feel free to come on out if you'd like to. So that's probably all I have to say.
Do you have are a lot of your athletes taking advantage of their extra eligibility?
Yeah, some are. Yeah, they are. That's true. They get an extra year of eligibility this year. The NCAA has said that this year doesn't count. So say you were a junior or senior, right? You've got another year of eligibility. You've got another 2 years of eligibility or whatever. Now, the can of worms that's opening up is the transfer portal. I don't know if you've read about that. The NCAA is trying to appease all the athletes because they do not want to pay Division I athletes. You've read about it. They don't want to pay them. They don't want to have to pay them. So they're trying to appease them in any way that they can. So they're saying, well, by golly, we're going to let you transfer without any penalty. You don't have to sit out. In the old days, you had to sit out a year. Now you don't. Like you're going to Clemson, you want to transfer to South Carolina. I don't know why anybody would want to do that. I guess that's a little dig to you Gamecock people. It could be the other way around.
I know he didn't say that.
No, it could be the other way. I like South Carolina a lot. I wrote a thing about Frank Martin, didn't I? Did you notice? I digress. Did you notice how the president of South Carolina said how everybody's going to have to sacrifice and we're really going to have to roll our sleeves up and a shared sacrifice with this COVID thing? And about a week later, they fired Muschamp and gave him $10 million not to coach, right? So, by golly, we had to sacrifice, but it was too much of a sacrifice to look at Muschamp on the sideline for another year. You know what I mean? We couldn't do that, my golly. We can raise money for the COVID, but we ain't going to look at Muschamp for another whole year. That's for darn sure.
How's that extra year of eligibility affecting your scholarship?
Well, we have to, monitor it, and it's tough. That's the first thing we did after the season was over. Talk to the guys about who wanted to come back, the whole deal, so we would know how many new scholarships we have. But going back to the transfer portal, a lot of kids, they've got a year of eligibility left. They're leaving the school that they're at and going to another school, right? I'll give you an example. A guy we recruited from Irmo High School, R.J. Gunn, went to Lenoir-Ryan. He's had a nice little career at Lenoir-Ryan. He has 1 year left. He put his name in the transfer portal. Now he's going Division I. All these guys that are in Division II, they want to go Division I. So this is an opportunity for them to do that. Really, put your name in the portal and go. Loyalty be damned. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like nobody really values loyalty anymore. We have worked with these young men. We've worked with these young men for 3 years, or worked with these young men for 4 years, and we finally got them where they're halfway decent basketball players, and they say, "Thank you, coach. I'm moving on to another school." But that's the way college athletics is right now. We've been hit especially hard the last few years. We've had the last 2 freshmen of the year in our conference, and both of them have moved on to Division I schools. It's almost like every level. We talked about Division III, Division II, and Division I. Every level is a feeding ground for the next level now.
Did you talk about the parity amongst the teams that are playing this year, and how some of the traditional teams are not so good? Duke didn't make the tournament, Kansas made it, but they're not very good. North Carolina can't shoot, can't get the ball in the basket.
I know.
I mean, it's just
They've got big
big
fellas.
change.
Yeah, it is. I think it's coming around where some of those schools that had a lot of 1-year players, 2-year players. Some of the schools now that are doing well, they've had people in their program for 3 or 4 years. They've developed and worked together and teamwork and all those old-fashioned things. There's more to winning basketball games than just talent. And I think you're starting to see that a little bit, that it's valuable to keep your team together for 3 or 4 years, and then you can do some great things. And I think that's what's happening a little bit. Some of these teams that have just had these one and done pros, which is I don't agree with either, but they're not being they're not as successful as they have been. And I think you'll see that. I think you'll see that now. There's value in keeping everybody together and working toward that common goal.
Sign a 30 or 40 ranked player in the country than signing a top 10 player.
Exactly. And I think that's what people are finding. And you'll see these big schools now starting to recruit these guys who have played at another level. Say somebody's out of Furman. They've done really well at Furman, or they've done really well at USC Upstate or Presbyterian or somewhere like that. I think the larger schools will recruit. They'll recruit them.
Is it allowed for a coach to call a player to another school?
What they do in that portal, you put the
If they're in the portal.
Yeah.
If they're not in the portal, you can't approach.
No, you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to. But there's a lot of shenanigans going on there behind the scenes. There really is. We had it with a freshman of the year. Calix. I don't mind saying he and his father said, "Yep, we're coming back," and the whole deal. He was with us all summer. He worked my 4 great days of summer basketball camp and had a wonderful time. And the day before fall classes started, I saw on Twitter that he was going to Tallahassee Community College. And I guess behind the scenes, Tallahassee Community College, junior college, had been recruiting him. Come to find out, they recruit a lot of like player of the years and freshman of the years and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, he went there the day before fall classes started, Tallahassee Community College, and now he's at Indiana State Division I. So yes, there is a lot of shenanigans going on behind the scenes, but it's just the system makes it kind of ripe for that, the way things are right now. I just don't like it. I don't like it because we're not teaching young people, I don't think, the right thing. I think loyalty is a value. I think loyalty is important, but we're kind of teaching folks that it's not maybe all that important. Just do what's best for you. Do what's best for you, and everything. Well, they don't realize, they don't think that now. I'll guarantee you, I've got 11 guys on my team right now. We're recruiting a few more. Every darn one of them thinks they could play in the NBA. Every darn one of them thinks they could play professionally somewhere, whether it be in the NBA or overseas or, wherever.
But you kind of want them to have that attitude, though, because that's
Well, you want them working toward a goal. I'm all for, and I always tell this to my players, I'm all for realistic dreams. I'm a dreamer now. I'm a dreamer. I love dreams, and I want players to have dreams. But they've got to be realistic dreams. I might want to be linebacker for the Panthers. You know what I mean? I really want to be I want to play professional football, and I want to play linebacker for the Panthers, but I could work 24 hours a day, and that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? I might want to be president of the Lions Club.
You could get that.
I got a dream. I've got a dream. No. But
We'll induct you next week.
Well, they said, I was wondering, you've only been here 3 years. Some of these folks have been here 40. Why aren't they president?
They've already done it.
Oh, okay. All right, you've put your time in. You've put your time in, and now you've put your time in.
Times 3.
All right, okay, all right. But no, I do, you're right. I want them to have dreams and I want them goals. I want them to think about cutting those nets down and winning a championship every night, every practice that we're in. But, young man and parents, let's talk about realistic dreams now, so. There you go. Amen. All right, well.
That
Can't
might
do
get
that.
you the president.
No, I can't do it. Is everybody, another question? Yes.
Who you got in Final Four and who you see finish?
All right.
I know two of them.
I still think Gonzaga is really good. They're like a European team. Those European teams that are in the Olympics, that they've played together a long time and they know how to play. So I like them. I like Michigan. I think Michigan can get there, Here's my dark horse, Alabama. If they get hot, they can beat anybody because they shoot threes a lot and they shoot them well. How about this? Kendall Wall from the Francis Marion basketball team. He was with us for 3 years, right? This was going to be Kendall's big senior year. This year was going to be Kendall's big senior year for Francis Marion. Thought he was going to be all conference, the whole deal. Kendall's buddy, Jordan, signed with Alabama, right? Kendall comes to me in the summer. He says, Coach, I think I want to go to Alabama. Well, golly, Kendall, I don't think you can play at Alabama. Well, I don't care. I just want to be on the team. So long story made short, if you look at Alabama play, you'll see number 30, and his last name is on his thing there, Wall. He paid his own way as a graduate student, transfer, and he's on Alabama's bench right now, And who can say it's wrong? It was wrong. You know what I mean? If he'd stayed at Francis Marion and he'd played 14 games, we probably would have won more than 3 with him because he was pretty good. And he played 14 games at Francis Marion. Now he's in the Sweet 16 in Division I with a chance to win the national championship. Who's to say he made a wrong decision? Could have been a great experience for him. Exactly. So you'll see him. All right, so I gave you 3, right? Gonzaga, Michigan, Alabama, maybe Baylor. I don't know. I hate to go with the big boys, the favorites. But yeah, probably Baylor. There you go. That's it. Put it down. Go to your bookie. No, don't do that. All right. Thank you very much. I'll come back whenever you need. I'll come back.
Oh, so.